How does a terror group go from being just a terror group to being a mafia or a cartel or a hybrid of the two?
The DEA is now investigating a multi-million-dollar money laundering scheme with possible terrorist ties.
There was strong influence of Middle Eastern drug traffickers, mainly Lebanese, that were working through Colombia, coordinating cocaine shipments.
We knew that there was discussion about weapons and who was getting paid. I couldn't comprehend what we had actually started with that case.
Hezbollah had a growing presence, and they were getting involved in money laundering, cocaine trade, and arms trafficking.
And so Special Operations Division suddenly was positioned to go after some of the baddest guys on the planet. And that formed the basis of what would later become Project Cassandra.
Nobody ever took an action against a terrorist organization by attacking on a grand scale their criminal activity. We were the guys. We were working undercover, posing as our own cartel.
Next thing you know, we're pulling off suitcases filled with cash.
The Lebanese banking system was a huge source of money.
When you hit the money, that's when it hurts them.
We wanted to show Hezbollah that we could target them anywhere, everywhere.
By saying Hezbollah, we knew that it was ultimately Iran.
The United States has achieved a comprehensive long-term deal with Iran.
The White House felt that the progress we had made could cause serious risks to our national security.
I was told specifically we couldn't use Hezbollah as the terrorist group in a narco-terrorism charge. It was just said that's not going to fly right now. The enemy you know, better than the one you don't know. We know exactly who these guys are, and we're at some point of stabilization. Some point of stabilization. Look at Iraq. Look at Syria.
We have stopped the spread of nuclear weapons in this region.
That's stable?
Documentary filmmaker Dookie Dror joining us here to talk about his documentary, The Cassandra Prophecy, about the DEA operation that was supposed to ensnare massive drug smuggling by Hezbollah, but was reportedly stymied by the Obama administration in its pursuit of an Iran nuclear accord. What kind of sparked your interest in telling this particular story?
First, I read the article on Politico by Josh Meyer, who was the first one who exposed the story of Cassandra. I was quite amazed and surprised by this story because here you have a huge federal investigation going on to spend, DEA and other agencies spend lots of money to work on the success of this operation, which was going to stop a majority of money laundering and drug trafficking, that proceeds would go back to Hezbollah and Iran in their proxy efforts to destabilize the Middle East, actually, especially in the Syrian conflict. And of course, to continue this spread of drugs in the Western world. And suddenly all this huge, I think it was the biggest operation in DEA history since the Escobar years, suddenly this is being stopped or being slowed down and compromised because of these negotiations and because of political reasons. And there are subsequent results from this. And I wanted to understand what is the price of these decisions, which are political decisions, on the civil society, on the civil life.
The report came out, the Politico report came out in 2017. We're now in 2022. This is still very relevant, as we know, with these endless negotiations going on between the U.S. and Tehran in terms of the revamped JCPOA, the Iranian nuclear accord. In your documentary, were you able to get any of those principal subjects to expand on what was exposed in that original Politico report?
We did requests interviews from Obama administration officials, but most of them, actually all of them but one, declined our requests, except Danny Glazer, who worked at the administration at that time. but also on different administration beforehand. He was part of the interviewees in our documentary.
The documentary premiered on the Israeli public broadcaster Kan.
And it's going to be later on this year in Germany, France, Canada, and hopefully in the U.S. Pretty soon, too.
How do you expect it to be received to, I guess, quote unquote, more neutral audiences outside of Israel?
It needs to be looked at as the evidence it presents. And people need to understand what is behind what we hear. If we hear that there is discussion about the JCPOA, about the Iranian nuclear deal, they need to understand what is at stake. And part of this is these things. The story of Project Cassandra, which was compromised for the sake of this deal. Also could be things like the kidnapping of Western citizens in Iran, even the last few days, just to be part of a negotiation pond to get what is needed in this negotiation.
In terms of the American audience, I know you're trying to get the rights, the distribution rights there in America taken care of. Any takers so far? Any hope that that'll happen soon? It's especially now, it seems like a story that needs to be told in America and told soon.
True. It's we didn't share it yet, but they are. The majors are waiting to screen the film. And as soon as they do, I think some I don't want to bring names in now, but there will be probably a U.S. distribution pretty soon for the documentary.